Hello. At the moment, now am I recording? Yeah, okay. At the moment, Liz Truss is the front runner for Prime Minister. I doubt that'll change, but I have to say that. And she made a speech recently in which she mentioned the possibility of revising speed limits upwards, and also, more importantly, I think, the possibility of winding down a control system known as a smart road. And she said she's going to work at it. You don't need to work at it, you just need to stop it straight away. Now, I'll just backtrack a minute. Years ago, one of my sons, I'll call him Peter on this occasion. Mind you, if I'd have decided to say he was called Wayne or Biff, you'd have a completely different attitude to him, wouldn't you? Anyway, Peter told me that in one class, a teacher asked the kids about their opinions on traffic controls to do with road congestion in a road near the school. It was endemically, if there's such a word, congested. And he asked them if they could suggest any solutions to that. So the kids came up with, well, all sorts of complicated and involved solutions with slipways and control lights and limiting the traffic coming onto the main road. He described he described the various things to me and bridges and so on. And when they'd finished discussing it, the teacher then said, I don't suppose anyone's thought of the idea of simply removing the speed limit so the cars can get through the road a lot quicker, have you? And Peter said that struck him like a thunderbolt. Of course it hadn't occurred to any of them, because it's not their fault. They were school kids, and for their entire lives, the framework within which they lived, like the framework within which most of us live, is that the earth keeps on going around the sun, and traffic controls are a basic assumption of how the universe works. So we know that speed limits are right and proper because they've been going on as long as any of us have known about them. And there are all sorts of good reasons for having speed limits and for keeping them and even for reducing them. I'm not saying they're all bad, by the way, but they've also become a habit of mind. And we have to remember that speed limits cause congestion, they cause pollution, and they cause irritable behaviour by drivers as well. And that's not good for your health either, pollution and irritable driving behaviour. Anyway, I am getting distracted. Let's get back to the situation where traffic on the motorway is jamming up. So, because speed controls are good, instead of allowing traffic simply to go through a bit faster, the engineers, I can draw a parallel with that and the lockdown specialists who terrified the government into overreacting during a recent period of, the illness that shall not be named. I have to be careful what I say. So let's just make an analogy to how people look at speed limits. Imagine you're driving along a road from London to Cambridge, for instance, and then you take a turn off on a road that's going to Newmarket. Now, everything you do from that point on, it will be taking you to Newmarket, won't it? So every decision you make, every driving decision, every stop decision, every speed decision will be in light of the idea that the result is going to be, sooner or later, Newmarket. So let's just substitute the word Newmarket for more controls. And you've got the idea of what I'm talking about. Traffic direction has turned onto a track with the destination more controls. And from then on, everything that's planned, run and enforced is planned, run and enforced with the idea that there must be more controls. So the civil engineers have earned their daily bread by coming up with ever more complicated solutions to what might have been a simple problem after all. And so on to the smart roads, which are as smart as any computer can make them. Of course, what we mean by that is that they're as smart as any computer programmer can make them, which isn't quite the same thing now, is it? Let's start with how British motorways were constructed. They were nearly all made with a lane at the side, which is known as a hard shoulder. It's a place of refuge where a car in trouble can pull in and wait for the rescue services. A smart road knows better than that. The hard shoulder is switched on and or off with illuminated lane displays. So sometimes there's a hard shoulder and sometimes there isn't. This, like many other machine directed controls, is great for the machines and, well, it's not so good for the humans. While researching this, I listened to some recordings of phone calls made by stranded motorists waiting in what would have been the hard shoulder, except this was a smart motorway, and they were waiting for the emergency services in what amounted to another motorway lane. And they had to pull into the side, they had no choice, and they were then ploughed into, on the phone. I heard these things on the phone, ploughed into by a truck that was quite legally in that lane, and perhaps the driver wasn't paying quite as much attention as he should have been because he's a human being. A smart motorway might work if both the truck and the motorway were being controlled electronically, but not when one of the actors is a human being. So, you know, I am sorry I listened to those, but I just had to know what was going on. Whole families, just horrific. Anyway, the very first time that happened, the whole smart motorway idea should have been ditched, junked and shut down. However, it wasn't. They just talk, as you see in this article here, about checking on whether they should investigate the reasons for the accidents by using the same techniques that they use for investigating airline accidents. But that's not the point. I can tell you right now, I don't need a black box. It's human nature. Cars break down, people have nowhere to go, other cars may be being driven over long distances by people who are slightly below par, by no means illegally below par, just a moment of distraction, a radio they wanted to turn off because it was too loud, an air conditioner they needed to turn on, anything. It's human beings. And it's no use saying let's do without the human beings. The world is supposed to be built for us, not the other way round. But there are lots of people who have a vested interest in not investigating the usefulness or murderousness of a smart road. The politicians who don't want to be embarrassed by the bad decisions they've made, the councils who want the extra cash, the traffic departments who employ surveyors and planners and engineers, and the companies who build and install these things. We're talking about billions of pounds here, and with every little problem, every little technical solution that needs to be done, and all the extra work, the bills just keep on going up and nobody wants to stop that tap running. Why should anyone want to switch it off? So on it goes, because once the precedent is set, those engineers and the politicians and town planners just carry on trundling along on their mental roads to nowhere, and that destination is not Newmarket, it's catastrophe. Well, you see, what the smart road engineers did not think of straight away was the fact that when a road is congested, it has more traffic on it. And when it has more traffic, the likelihood of breakdown and of inattentive drivers multiplies. That's the whole thing. Shutting off the one escape route that any driver might have in that sort of a situation makes no sense at all. But that's a smart road for you. We can't admit that it was an expensive, murderous failure now, can we? Okay, yeah, I'm Granniopteryx, appealing to whoever's the next Prime Minister to shut down the smart roads. They are not at all smart. And neither are the people who order them. Okay, I'm to be found on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I am at Granniopteryx on Twitter, Gab and Parler. Please subscribe to one of those because I let you know when I've uploaded a new video. YouTube very often isn't that careful about that. Also, YouTube isn't that careful about hanging on to subscriptions, so please subscribe to this channel and check your subscription if you are subscribed already. Don't take that for granted. Okay, please support my channel if you can. There should be the dancing coffee mug, beaker, whatever. And below you'll find Subscribe Star, Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think I've covered everything there. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.